The hardest part, first off, was just financial. And I think logical, it was just financial. It was going from uncapped earnings and, not the responsibility of, are we bidding this properly? Is there money left over for us? Have we done this all? Just go out, sell in a structured, proven model and just making money to, we got to figure this all out. I cut my income in a third and I was going to school full time. I was paying for college, cutting your income way down, not knowing if you were going to get paid. Those were probably the hardest adjustments, I would say. I don't think I was fearful. I think there was a bit of ignorance in there that we were just going to make it. I probably should have been a little more fearful, trying to build something with nothing. That got real stressful really, really quick. The sales job was, you sell, customer satisfied, you're done, you're out of there, never think about it again. Trying to start a business and go, it was a lot more. If something goes wrong, I've got to figure it out directly, or there's consequences that ultimately I'm going to pay later. It's a couple steps back, take a lot of steps forward later. And eventually I'm going to look back and not be a career salesman. I'm going to be in that spot that I wanted to be in.
Welcome back to Rep2Owner. We have Kolby Nelson, really good friend of mine and a business owner of a multi-million-dollar solar company here in Florida. He's been in sales for many, many years, has a lot of real estate, has done 20 million in personal sales. His teams have done over 50 million plus as well. Really excited to have him on today. I'll tell you a little bit more about his journey, how he went from sales to owning a business.
Great to have you, Kolby. When you first got started in sales, how did you decide what to sell first? Was it product, service, or something that you knew you had skills on?
None of the above. No,
Okay.
my first sales job just came from friends. My first sales job ever was just setting appointments for an insurance agent, and it was great hours. Great hours, great pay. We could go in, I could work 30 minutes, get a day's worth of pay, and be done. So it was no product knowledge, just that time.
Yeah, just the time being able to get
That
in
freedom.
and the
Yeah.
freedom. So what was your first sales job, by the way?
First sales job was in insurance, actually. Yeah. First real sales job was insurance. Yeah.
And
Setting appointments, calling random numbers, and I was just setting up leads for the broker.
how long did you do that for?
6 months?
6 months?
6 months, something like that. Yeah, that was right out of high school. And from there, it turned into many other things.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that.
From insurance, um, next sales job was pest control. Did pest control door to door. I did that for 3 years. Pat, who Will and Flo together, Pat and I grew up together, so he introduced me to pest control. It was the same thing. It wasn't that I was super passionate about bugs or talking to people or anything like that. It was a return on time. The whole pitch was, go work 4 months, make a year's worth of money, come back, have freedom, go to school, that kind of thing. So sales has always been not so much the product or passion there, much more freedom of time to do things that I actually am passionate about.
Yeah.
And I guess for you, at what point is that still a main motivator for you? Or
Yeah.
has it changed a little bit?
Well, it's a good question. I'd say it's changed a little bit, but is in that same lane of thought. I actually fully got out of sales, well, intended to completely get out of sales about 6 years ago, a little over 6 years ago. And with the thought of I want to build something, but to have that freedom as well in the long term. But I felt like sales was going to keep me free to an extent, but not completely free. And by that point, well, let's see, I was 24, just turned 24. I had sold pest control. I had sold cabinetry. And I decided I'm going to take a pay cut for the time being and build. I want to build something. I don't want to keep selling this product and watching, my efforts build something. If I'm going to build it and put the time into it, because it was all about that time balance. I want that time to be able to pay me in the future as well. So similar in that sales is my role, responsibility at our company, but still focused on that. We're building something. We're trying to get to those other things that keep me more passionate, to be honest.
And what was the hardest part about switching from that sales role identity to a business owner identity?
The hardest part, first off, was just financial. I think logical, it was just financial. It was going from uncapped earnings and, not the responsibility of, are we bidding this properly? Is there money left over for us? Have we done this all? Just go out, sell in a structured, proven model and just making money to, we got to figure this all out. And taking a pretty big pay cut. That first year out of sales, I cut my income in a third, and I was going to school full time. I was paying for college. So that was a big adjustment, but it wasn't a difficult decision to make. It was just an adjustment in life.
So how was that kind of starting everything up? And you said it was a big adjustment. Tell us about the journey of switching.
Awesome. Fantastic.
So what was your biggest fear leaving the company and how did you overcome that?
I don't think I was fearful. I think there was a bit of ignorance in there that we were just gonna make it. I probably should have been a little more fearful. I was just so excited to grow that I was
Mm.
kind of willing to just make any of those adjustments, changes, any hardships that were going to come up, but I didn't really focus on any of that stuff. But as far as adjusting, there were definitely adjustments, the financial side of things, cutting your income way down, not knowing if you were going to get paid. Those are probably the hardest adjustments, I would say. Now there were definitely adjustments compared to a sales job. The sales job was, you sell, customer satisfied, you're done, you're out of there, never think about it again. Trying to start a business and go, it was a lot more. If something goes wrong, I've got to figure it out directly, or there's consequences that ultimately I'm going to pay later. So those are adjustments, but I wouldn't say they were fearful adjustments. They were just fun.
Yeah, so you saw it more as an opportunity, a change, something that you were really going towards instead of letting that fear kind of hold you back.
Yeah, I think when I made that transition, it was a full commitment to this is going to be different. It's a couple steps back to take a lot of steps forward later. And so I saw it much more as an opportunity and I'm going to grow through this. And eventually I'm going to look back and not be a career salesman. I'm going to be in that spot that I wanted to be in. My mind then was if we could build a company that and scale it and go through all of that to make something like that happen, eventually it would be, still a job, still working, all those things, but paying larger. I felt like the risk reward on the time side was a lot more risk, but a lot higher reward at the same time. So I felt like in the future that would pay off, have more time to not be just selling whatever that may be.
I guess what helped you, what specific systems did you set up in place in the start that helped you go through and make that transition a little easier? Still had the time of the way business. There's such thing.
Dude, I mean, that was 24-year-old me. I don't think there was a whole lot of systems. I mean, I had my things I had to do. I was still trying to finish college. As far as systems of time management, adjustment, that kind of thing, I didn't really have anything in place. It was very much I'm just jumping off this cliff and we're gonna go.
Going
And I think this is gonna work out. We might hit a couple of things on the way down, but we're gonna find our way back up. And so have learned a lot since then. But that first initial leaving sales to go try to build something, there was no system for adjustment in there. It was just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, go. So I guess what systems do you wish you would have had in place going back if you were starting a business now?
Oh man, systems in general. I just wish that that was stuff that we kind of figured out as we went. We had some basic systems in place, but we weren't looking far enough ahead, I don't think. We were focused on, we have no jobs, we have nothing on the calendar, we got to make something happen. So we were focused on the next day, right? The next week. And it took us, honestly, not too long. I worked with a couple really good dudes that within 6 months or so, we weren't in a spot where we were busy enough, but the vision was there and the thoughts were there. We got to start looking ahead. We got to put these systems on paper. We got to notate this stuff because we are going to scale at some point in time. And we've got to be able to replicate ourselves in an effective manner and maintain the quality that we've been doing. So looking forward now, it's have those systems in place before going and scaling, before the thought of that stuff. I mean, inevitably, I think in business, you're going to run into bumps, unforeseen things. You're going to learn lessons along the way. So you can't avoid it all, but the things that you are certain of, having those things in place, I think would have made a huge difference just from the start.
Yeah. I mean, if you had to break it down to one specific one, just because I feel like the audience, a lot of people hear systems all the time, but it's not really broken down to, okay, what's one specific system you wish you would have done?
Or something you wish you would have outsourced sooner.
The first thing that comes to my mind on the outsourcing thing is I wish we would have outsourced, we would have found somebody to outsource marketing to quicker. We had, an idea of what to do. We had somebody we were kind of working with, kind of not. We had ideas of working with social media, and those were all great, but they were a lot of trial and error. And we just didn't really vet, who we were working with. And when we found the right guy, that made all the difference for us as far as business really did start to flow and the things that we wanted to happen were there. And maybe that's my sales brain, just wanting the revenue and the jobs to be in. But having that, I wish we would outsource that a little bit quicker.
Yeah. What about automation? Or something that you automated that kind of helped save more hours and time for you?
In that business, I think about the operations side of things. We had just inventory tracking. We did concrete flooring. So we knew product to the square foot to a T. So we knew we need to order this much for the following 2 weeks. We need to order this. And it was, before going out measuring guesswork, now we've got all this extra sitting in the garage. And where are we going to use this? Where are we going to try to make this happen? And so having a system to track that of exactly what are we using per job made us a lot more efficient, saved us a lot of hours and product at the same time.
Really smart. So, I mean, those skills probably helped you because talk to us a little more about your story because you started off there and you transitioned to other things after that as well. How did those experiences from starting that business help you go forward?
I think it was just a mindset shift, really. Like, it's a broad thing to say to an audience.
Mm.
But I think when I left that, I ended up going back into sales with solar, but very much with the intent of I'm trying to build something. Before, I feel like sales had been kind of just a way to pay for life, kind of in the present, but no real clear goal on the outside. It was just, I just want to get these goals done. I want to be done with this, or that kind of thing. Whereas transitioning out of that business, it was, hey, I'm going to build something that's going to last. And so whatever it takes, the hours are never too many. The phone calls, whatever it may be, the problems that are going to come up, they're all solvable. And I think that mindset shift was huge, leaving that first business and then transitioning into solar.
How was that transition with solar? What was day one and getting everything going?
Rough. Yeah, rough. I can only speak from a personal standpoint for myself. It was another one of those leaps of faith where I wasn't planning on leaving another business. The concrete floorings business was, we're doing this for the next 10 to 15 years. Like, we're locked in. And it came very suddenly. I think I want to leave. And so I would say it was more of an identity crisis for myself of, I'm jumping off another cliff with no destination and no plan, and I got to figure this out. I got to back up. I don't know what you asked there. That just left my head. If I was talking, I'm sorry.
The shift between the concrete business into solar. So how was day one? What was
Oh, yeah.
steps
Okay.
going between the two?
So going into solar, I'm going to do whatever it takes. It was tough. Am I capable? Can I build something out of nothing? Because when I came to solar, it was just me. I had no team. I had no reps. I had no systems. I had very, very limited knowledge of solar. And so it was, kind of that all-in mentality again. So I came out to Florida about 2 months after leaving that other company and gave this a go for 2 weeks. And then within 3 weeks of that, packed up my apartment and drove across the country and moved to Florida.
Wow.
And, I just come off not making a lot of money the year before. So then moving out here, starting over, having a new apartment, trying to build something with nothing, that got real stressful really, really quick.
How did you overcome some of those challenges by switching companies and being a business owner again down here?
Man, I think it was, I'll just, it sounds cheesy, but I'll just always bet on myself. So I felt like I just wasn't going to quit. I felt no matter what, I'm going to make this work.
Yeah.
What kept me going when it got tough, though, was just that long-term vision of I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a reason. I'm going to build something else. And that's, at the time when I came here, it was more personal focus. It was my life. It was real estate, a portfolio, and this is how I'm going to pay for this. This is how I'm going to break into something else and actually start to build my future. And so when it got hard, it was, this is all worth it because it's going to accomplish the next steps down the road. And that's kind of what I leaned on. That was 100% what I leaned on to just keep going when things weren't.
An all-in mentality.
I'm kind of that way. It's black or white. There's not a whole lot of in between.
Do you think that plays into your self-accountability since you don't have anyone telling you what to do?
Yeah. I think I have really high expectations for myself. Everyone that I work with, I would say as well too, but more so me. And so it's more of that you want these things. There's this greater version of yourself that I know is there, and
Make them proud.
you got to make them proud. Yeah.
I'm proud.
You got to make them proud. I always think back on the past versions of myself.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever do that.
Of course.
Just think about younger me, and I'm like, man, 25-year-old Kolby. If I could just go give that guy a hug and just be like, dude, it's gonna be all right. Thank you for doing this. Me now, thank you for going through those things. So having those experiences and thinking about those things now, I even today think about that stuff. All right, now 30-year-old Kolby and the challenges and that kind of thing. 35-year-old Kolby, 40-year-old Kolby will have gratitude for this thing. So
It's all about the gratitude and
yeah,
remembering that you're doing it for future you and past you at the same time. Really.
true. Yeah.
Are there specific moments you think back on that?
I think that I have, whether it's convincing myself to feel this way or think this way, I always think mistakes are only mistakes if you don't learn. And if you learn, they become lessons, which then serve you later on. So I think back on a lot of the bad times even as those are the greatest times ever because I would not have learned or become who I am without those times. So I don't think about them often, but when I do think back on them, those are pretty awesome times actually, as much as it sucked, whatever it was. A lot was built internally even during those times.
So in the solar business that you're in now, are you solo or are you with partners?
Partners.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't start it. Um, didn't come in as an owner. Worked my way into that role. I run it with three of my best friends, Pat, Richie, Evan. I came on last. Pat started it, founded it. Richie and I joined 6 months later.
Mhm.
Richie came on as a partner. They were, 50-50 right out the gate. Evan came on maybe a year after that to build the operations side. And then I became a partner about 2 years ago. So that also was not on the cards and not necessarily part of the plan. It was kind of hovering there as if maybe it would be, maybe it wouldn't be. But eventually built the sales side to a point where it just made sense to join in and kind of take that role on for the entire company.
Were you the one that pushed that narrative?
Minorly, it had been tossed out that, hey, we're going to have some sort of equity structure from day one. And when I first thought about joining Flow, to be honest, it wasn't, I'm coming out here to build Flow or to be a part of this long term. I planned on coming out here for a year or two, grabbing some cash, buying some properties, going back to Utah, starting something else. But this was a good way for me to at least get that base going. And then it turned into, a little bit more serious. All of a sudden, we built good teams. You know, we've had a lot of success, and the partnership equity had been tossed out a little bit. And then eventually, I think I wouldn't even say intentionally. I wouldn't say intentionally. I was out there saying, "Hey, this equity needs to be in place." It was more of a, "This has been talked about. Are we doing this?
Yeah.
What needs to be done? What needs to be seen?"
Mhm.
And eventually, it just became obvious. Like this needs to happen.
Do you wish you had pushed that more out of the get-go? Or are you glad that you waited for a while to then jump into it?
I've not honestly thought about that. That's a good question. I kind of like how it played out for multiple reasons. It made me grow and think separately. I viewed myself as part of Flow, but Flow was its own company, and then I had my people that I was responsible for, and I think that made me think in a higher level of ownership over those people that perhaps I wouldn't have had we just come straight out the gates. Partner, we're building this, because I do think that mindset has shifted, neither good nor bad, but since becoming a partner of, okay, looking at the business as a whole, but bringing in those aspects of this is how we built this all before. I think it gave me a little bit different perspective than it would have if it hadn't been that way.
You just went in with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any daily routines or habits that you feel shifted once you went from the sales rep side to being a business owner? Maybe
Definitely.
implement more. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man. Yeah. I think about
Everything?
everything. I think I got so humbled. So humbled of just, I've got to be on my game all the time. And so everything shifted: diet, exercising habits, reading, self-learning, self-improvement. Maybe that was age. Just early sales rep me was not really thinking about that kind of stuff, I guess, as much as I should have. I think I told myself I was, but I was like,
Yeah, you're like,
I look back now to be, I was right.
yeah.
I think when I shifted that ownership side of things, it was, okay, there's a lot riding on this. This needs to be taken seriously. And I credit all of that going back to that initial switch from pest control to concrete forings. And I think that made it easy coming into Flow of that already existed. That mindset had already happened. But yeah, that first initial one, definitely huge switch in how we thought and routines and taking care of myself and all that.
What about with your teams and stuff? Is there anything that's different the way that you handle dealing with them, being an owner now compared to a sales rep?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think at times I was maybe ruthless as a salesperson. Yeah. Yeah, right. I think I can think back to one specific phone call, me, Pat, and Richie, and this was when I was a sales rep, some issues that were happening. And I was like, you guys got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, hopefully they're cool with this. I think they will be. I think it's good. It worked out, but it was, it was basically asking me to kind of help take care of some of these issues. And this was maybe where equity was perhaps brought up the first time in a serious way. I'm not a partner. I don't have anything to gain from this. And to be honest, this is your business. So no, You guys take care of it. You guys figure it out.
Do you see the value in the switch now, being on the other side, kind of boss sales reps deal with and handle for always?
100%. And then I don't take anything away from my sales reps either, or sales reps in general. I think that it's ignorance. It's not intentional. It's not a fault, or what's the word I'm looking for here? A lack of ability or anything like that. It's just ignorance of, now you do have to think about a business a little bit. And, if a sales rep messes up bad and it's really 100% on them or anything like that, we're dealing with company issues. Obviously, we're going to put the people first, but there is a little bit more, let me see both sides. Whereas before I was I'm on this line, I'm on this side of the line. It's salespeople first.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like I'm the protector almost. Not that my partners were doing anything out of the ordinary,
Right.
but I just take a very hard stance on here versus now it's, hey, can I help you understand as a sales rep where we're coming from on this? And let's try to level and let's figure out where we all feel okay when things back come up.
What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned through this journey as far as being a business owner? Something that's really stood out to you, whether it's working with your team, building the business, transitions.
I think I'm a very relational person, and I would say this transition into more of an ownership role just has amplified to me the importance of relationships. Obviously outside of the business, but even more so for me inside of the business. These relationships matter. You can make a lot happen if you're all on the same page and everyone feels taken care of and everyone feels heard and feels like they're rowing in the same boat and building something together. I would say that's been a big one.
Super important. I think if everybody is connected and on the same page, and the more you do that daily with your team, it really shows in the results and the work that they put in.
Yeah, true. 100%. I view this as that very much so, of we're not perfect. I kind of laugh because when I look around and think, there's other companies that have fallen and other companies that haven't grown, and we've managed to grow, and we feel like sometimes just we don't know what we're doing. I feel like the more people you talk to, that's just normal.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I take it in that aspect of everything I learn here will serve whatever's next, because it certainly isn't the end all be all. We have huge goals for what we're doing right now and flow in general and what we want it to be. But me personally, I still want to do other things as well. And so anything I can learn through this experience is fantastic. We'll talk as partners sometimes of, this isn't the funnest situation to be in when things come up and these are problems that we're dealing with. And I oftentimes just kick back and I'm like, it's kind of silly that we complain because we do live great lives and we're getting to learn and we're being paid to learn. And how invaluable is that we get to do this as a career and learn the whole way through,
It's funny how when we zone in on the problems and details, it stresses us out. But then when you take a step back, you're like, wow,
Yeah.
a lot to be grateful for.
So much to be grateful for.
And I feel like, you asked for these battles in this journey, it's we get stressed out for all the things being thrown at us, but we're going for these opportunities ourselves. We could be okay with just working a normal job. We could be okay with the 9 to 5, or even as a sales rep, be okay with that. But taking that jump towards, being a business owner and taking more accountability for yourself and your life.
Spot on.
So much in that.
I think we forget that a lot. We asked for this. We asked for these problems. We asked for these things that we've got to come up with solutions for.
Right.
And we ask for these experiences, and you really don't grow without that resistance. But you're right. I think that gets forgotten all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And me personally, all the time.
Yeah. And important to have those conversations to remind you of it, because in the day-to-day flow, it's all, well, what's the next task that we have to do? What's the next goal we have to accomplish? And then wait, but let's look at everything else that we have already done.
Right. Yeah. You are so grounded, and it's that you just always improve. As long as you're improving, you're not dying. That's kind of how I feel.
Exactly. Getting up every day and doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you have things that you're looking forward to in the future. Is there anything that you'd want to share about your goals, where you see things going for you in business?
I mean, from a solar standpoint, I think when I think about future and goals and that kind of stuff, I really do think about my guys, my team members. What do I want them to be able to accomplish? I feel like if we can make sure they hit their goals, then we're good. We're taken care of. So part of that is us dreaming big enough as owners that their visions and hopes for themselves can fit inside that one umbrella. For us, it's, be in the lead installer. It's small, and it's funny. We became the biggest installer in Pinellas County. It's one county. There's a lot of big solar companies out there, but for us, it was like, all right, the first notch is down. Let's get to Florida. Let's take over Florida. Let's do that, and let's see what else is out there and continue to go. But for me, those big hopes and dreams is I just want my guys to have the same level of success and, more importantly, knowledge and experiences to grow and learn that I've had. And as long as we can provide that for multiple people, I'll be stoked.
We'll just keep growing. Sounds awesome.
And how has that vision changed from when you were a sales rep someplace now?
When I was a sales rep, I feel like it was still just very year to year. It was go out, get teams, get guys, help them see the path, help them be successful, buy property, success, move on, that kind of thing. Now it's, how are we going to carve out long-term roles for our people that they are still experiencing growth and that they have those opportunities to not just do the same thing they're currently doing? How are we going to grow and expand in that way that they get that fulfillment that they're so hungry for? So yeah, that's part of how it's changed.
And what advice would you have given your previous self to readjust your vision to get you to where you are clicking now?
Believe in myself. I think probably a lot myself, especially there's that imposter syndrome of have I actually done anything? Am I actually capable? Am I actually good at this? And then you look back, and for me, unfortunately, it takes years. I'll look back and be like, oh, it's actually pretty good. So I think if I could go back to my younger self and be like, hey, you are capable. Believe that quicker. Don't hold yourself back. Those limiting beliefs of I haven't done enough to go do this or to say these things, like take those away because they were limiting me, even if it was more so to keep them from other people in the beginning. So if I could go back, I'd say just go for it, man. Like jump off. You'll figure it out. There's nothing that's got to be figured out, checked off, experienced to start. And I think that kind of held me back for a little bit. Yeah.
You think that there were certain people in your life that helped you find that belief in yourself? Or was it you figuring things out along the way? Because I think a lot of people have that imposter syndrome, right? Whether you're starting anything, and the skills and tools that you would recommend to somebody else to help do that faster.
Yeah. I think of a couple people, a couple things I would say. One, I don't know him, met him for the first time a couple weeks ago, very briefly. His name's Andy Frisella.
Oh, amazing.
Big Andy Frisella fan, in his coaching group. One of those tools, you asked tools, 75 hard, and just pushing myself to kind of be super, super dialed, uh, really instilled belief in myself from something so small. It was, 75 days, but it was 75 days of look what I can accomplish in 75 days. And that was after having success in sales, hitting goals, jumping into business, that kind of thing. But something as simple as that, seeing a physical change, a mental change, a shift in who I was huge. So I don't know him on that level, but I would say Andy's definitely made a huge difference. When I think on personal level, couple people I think about, I'd probably reference my stepdad. He's a business owner, and I watched him grow into the last 30 years. Now I haven't known him that long. He's had his business for 30 years. But when I talk to him and have discussions with him and see what he's done in his business and where he's at, and then I think about where we are, and to just kind of have that confirmation of like, you're doing the right things, you guys are doing big things, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. Like that stuff's big for me. Some people, maybe it's other things. For me, it's just the people closest to me when they give me that affirmation of, you are doing something a little different, or you are doing a good job, or that kind of thing. Like those go a long way for me.
Yeah. I think the two that you mentioned, which is, community, basically your closest people next to you, and checking off those daily tasks within the 75 hard just rewires our brain to see those little wins, which help build the belief systems even more.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, you were already successful in sales, you were doing all that, but then adding on those extra things really pushed it for you more. Stacking, just stacking. What's a piece of advice that you would give to a sales rep that is looking to start a business?
Hmm. Maybe this is for my own shoes, but I would say be humble. Be humble, or maybe not even be humble, but maintain that quiet confidence, but understand you're going to have issues along the way, and then go for it. I can't tell you how many salespeople I know that I've talked to and have come up with, and that, that's the talk, that's the talk, that's the talk, and then they're still salespeople.
Yeah.
And it's just that initial fear of, if I jump, am I going to be okay? So advice to those people that a salesperson trying to start a business or go, it's just, man, hunker down, do the little things, start stacking those daily wins up, start understanding what is it that you're trying to start and what are those first steps, and then take the first step and just get moving. If you're successful in sales and you have that discipline and you can be, convincing people of a product or a service, what's to say you couldn't do the same for your own product or service?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's great advice.
I think with that too, it's really, really interesting because you want the quiet confidence I think it opens up a lot more doors for you as well. But I guess where's the balance, do you think, of being like confident in yourself, not worrying about other people, but then also being quietly confident?
Yeah. I think confidence comes from evidence. So one, I think you have to prove to yourself day in, day out, I am who I say I am. I am capable of even the smallest things. So it's prove it to yourself and maintain that, because no one cares what you did 5 years ago. No one cares what you did a year ago.
Yeah.
People care about what you're doing right now. You care about what you're doing right now. But we all know somebody that references who they were back in the day, and that's cool.
Yeah, but what are you doing now?
Right.
Yeah.
So that evidence, continue to prove it to yourself.
I guess with that evidence, at what point would you say or advise a sales rep to take the jump to start a business if they want to?
Oh man, it sounds crazy, but as soon as you start thinking about it, I think there is paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
I'm naturally a super analytical person, and I think as soon as that little bird starts chirping in your ear that you ought to be doing something different,
Go after.
you should start going after it. And that doesn't mean abandon ship and sink yourself while you're trying to do it, right? It could, 100% it could. Let me save you. Let me give you the safest route possible.
At least we're
Jump off. We're at the life vest, maintain what you're doing. And, it's the classic side hustle until it's your main hustle. Figure out how to keep your income coming in, figure out how to start stacking cash and putting that away and prepping yourself. And when my philosophy personally is not right, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's when your side hustle is requiring more than your main hustle, it's time to go for it. And that can sound crazy,
okay.
but you'll figure it out. If you really want it that bad, you'll figure it out.
I guess for you in those previous businesses, I mean, Flow and then this other company too, do you wish you had kept that more as a side hustle then with sales and then jumping fully into it, if you felt you jumped into it at the right time?
I think I got lucky. I think I was fortunate because when I jumped into the first business, I had my best year yet in sales. So I had income coming in for the next year. And so I wasn't stressed when, I had to pay for school and big things were due. I could still put aside savings. I was okay. And it just lowered that stress of, I got to do something else or I got to figure something out. And I'm not saying don't do that, but it helped me to stay focused and driven and go. And kind of same with Flow, where I'd had a few really good years. I was able to go put some assets aside and kind of, be in an okay spot. I think the other way around too, just jumping straight in, nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. But I wouldn't say you have an idea, then the next week you're jumping off the boat and going. I would say get your framework in place first. Have a plan. Have some things that you're not gonna completely sink yourself before you go, because things are unforeseeable. It's gonna get hard, and ultimately you want enough time to be able to put as much healthy focus as you can into that main thing.
Mm-hmm. I feel like nowadays everyone is always like multiple sources of income. So make sure things are diversified and, go after what you want before you jump off the ship. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. You talked about evidence and you had built up a bankroll, you built up assets before, and then you jumped in. Like that gave you the confidence to, but what you said, lower your stress and then before, which is interesting.
I would say though, to just add on to that, my jump into Flow was, to me, not that initial jump. My initial jump was test into concrete floorings. And back then I didn't have assets. I didn't have accounts. I didn't have anything like that. I just had enough money to pay for school so I could graduate, which wasn't necessary, but it was there. And I had enough money that, if I had to go a month without earning money in the concrete business, I was going to be okay. Right. I wasn't going to have to move back in with mom and dad or, I don't know, whatever else, I was able to go and put full time back. What I mean by that too, to kind of give perspective, is I would wake up and go to the job site, be at the warehouse at 7 a.m. We were on jobs till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. I'd have time to go home, eat dinner really quick, and then go out and do bids for the business. And if that was unfruitful, I was still okay. Whereas if you have nothing to fall back on, maybe that night period, you can make adjustments. You could move in with somebody, live for free, that kind of thing, and lower everything down. But maybe you got to get a second job, and now that's taken away hours from that main hustle. So to kind of add that perspective, I think that that shift had already happened, go through it the first time, and then going through it a second time, I was that much more prepared and I'm not going to buy a sick car and the nice clothes and all that stuff. Let me put all of this away into really smart places so that in case this doesn't go right, which that's never been the plan, hasn't been the outcome, But just in case, I'm not leaving this empty-handed because it's kind of like make or break. It's the main thing. You know, the side things are the preparation or the things that I was able to acquire before being full in on the business is cool. But if the business isn't successful, none of that gets to continue onward, right? I'll have what I have and it's very, very average. It's just, it's not going to build the life that I want. So I think, yeah, it does continue to motivate even building the business of we've got to be bigger. We've got to get better. We've got to improve all those things.
You had to start over today with no contacts. How would you rebuild within the next 90 days?
It's a really good question. First, I'd locate a genius or operations guy, and I'd make a good relationship there. I'd find a trustworthy installer that I liked, and I'd start to form a really deep relationship with him to start. So whatever that is, I mean, that's applicable to any business. Find somebody that's, for me, I'm not good at the operations side. I don't know anything about that. I didn't have any background in that. So my weak point is operations and vice versa. If I was good in operations, I'd go find somebody that's really good at sales, and I start to form that relationship. But if I was restarting, I would go find somebody that's good in that, start to build a good relationship, and then brick by brick, like we've done a couple of times, go out and start to spread that vision with other people and get the sales moving, get that blood flowing. We figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you go back and do it with a partner instead of just starting it yourself.
Maybe they're not a partner. Yeah. I don't, that's a good question too, actually. Maybe the operations guy isn't a partner right from the start. If it's my idea, I definitely don't think I'd go into it and we're equal partners. I think if anything, we'd go into it and we'd be, partners to some degree so that it's worth it. We both got skin in the game and it makes sense. But it'd need to be something that I wanted to build with long term. And I think I'd fill that out pretty heavy before I just was like, all right, we're doing this. But I think maybe I say that too because that's how we got Evan was we don't know anything about installs. We're sales to the core. Installs. And that was what lured Evan over to Flow was, a little piece of equity to help build. And it definitely wasn't half. It wasn't the majority or anything like that. It was just enough that he was like, I am a part of this. I want us to be successful.
Set them. I guess adults that you've built now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, to wrap it up, is there any advice that you would want to give to a sales rep looking to start a business? Maybe last minute or less. Start that over.
Easy.
Well, to wrap it up, is there any advice that you would like to give to a sales rep that's looking to start their own business?
My advice to a sales rep that want to start a business would be to commit. Like commit and go all in and believe in yourself that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this happen and to make this work. That's speaking from my experience of transitioning from sales to an ownership role of it is different. But if that commitment's there and that decision's already been made, it's going to make it that much easier to push through the mud that is inevitably going to be there. But it's commit now and get going, get started.
Get going, start. Jump off, but with the life vest, right? Well, thank you so much, Kolby. It was great having you on here about your journey and all your amazing insights.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
And to our followers, thank you for watching and viewing this episode. If you want to know more about how to start your own business or acquire one, go to Rep2Owner.com to find out more, and we'll see you on the next episode.